Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. John Kelly Profile here, and welcome. Welcome to part 45 of our very sad series, Who Killed Libby German and Abby Williams. I never thought we'd be up to part 45. And of course, you've heard me say that before, going up from the 30s into the 40s. Well, now we're at part 45. Very sad case, but hopefully we're going to see some results sooner or later. I'm feeling pretty good about that with different things that have taken place. Today's show, which is part 45, is Kegan's BS manipulation. And it's going to be, join us as we analyze Kegan Kline's manipulative behavior. You're quite the manipulator, Kegan, me boy. I also want to bring up the movie that's coming out. It's coming out on October 19th in theaters. October 26th, it's going to be on Netflix. The Good Nurse, featuring one of my good friends and colleagues, Timmy Braun. I think you're going to find this movie to be exceptionally good. I'll tell you, I don't think you'll ever forget it. I don't want to spoil it for you. But I think once you see it, it's going to be one of those movies that stays in your mind forever. I don't think you're going to forget it. It's about Charles Cullen. He was a nurse. Charles Cullen, RN, the Angel of Death from New Jersey, and how Timmy Braun and Danny Baldwin arrested him and brought him to justice. I think you're going to find it very, very interesting. He admitted to 40 murders. We think there's like maybe 200. I was not technically involved in the case. However, I did talk with Timmy, at different times. But, technically I was not involved in the case. I'm not a profiler of record on this particular case. The work they did was just incredible. And you'll see it for yourself if you're willing to go and watch it in the theater, or if you want to watch it on Netflix. I want to play a recording for you, and it's going to be Henry Lee Lucas, an interview I did with Henry Lee Lucas back in '95 at Texas Death Row. I'm going to play you just one kind of small piece out of it. Henry Lee Lucas, serial killer. I interviewed him on death row in Huntsville, Texas. He's since passed away. He was like one of the original old-time serial killers that you've heard a lot about. Quite the manipulator. I believe, like John Gacy, that I brought out in our last show, Henry Lee was more so of a manipulator in a way, because he confessed to 600 murders, which he never did. And what happened is he kept being taken out of jail to go to various crime scenes. And it's interesting, that's like somebody we know recently, right? That's been taken out of county jail and taken down to the river, checking out some crime scenes. Not that I'm saying that Kegan is at all responsible for the murders of Abby or the murders, or Libby, the murders of Abby and Libby. I'm not saying that at all. The point I want to make is I believe he's an extreme manipulator. Henry Lee Lucas was an extreme manipulator. I believe the person, and I've talked about it for a while, that killed Libby and Abby has this innate rage towards women. I really believe that. Well, Henry Lee Lucas has this and had it for many years and traveled all around the United States. And I don't think there was a bigger manipulator than Henry Lee Lucas. He loved to manipulate his way out of prison, out of county jail, go with the cops, confess to a murder. The cops love that because then they can close the case. And he gets to eat at hotels. He gets to sleep in a hotel, gets to have a good time for himself and stay out of prison. And that went on for a number of years. He pulled this off for a number of years, and it was amazing how happy law enforcement was with picking him up and taking him out to close these various cases. They even called him the confession killer. He was convicted of 11 murders. And we're going to play a piece for you now from my interview with Henry Lee Lucas, back in 1995. When we were talking about what it was like with a woman and the anger inside, and you talked about being like a deadness, a deadness.
You can be around a person and it's like that person's not there.
They're not there.
But you still see them.
Right.
You got to get away from her. And the more you try to get away from her, the closer she wants to become.
Right.
And you say, no, this can't go. Get away from her.
Right.
And they'll keep eating at you, and you'll swing at her. You hit her, you'll swing at her.
Right.
Like I say, I've slapped the devil out of some girls.
Sure.
Not really meaning it, but I did it.
Right.
Get away from it.
Right.
And you can't, you have no control over it.
Right.
Control's completely gone.
Right.
It's something that just eats at you it's like a disease, like I say.
Right.
It eats.
Like a disease that eats at you.
You can't get rid of it. I've been in some awful fixes myself, mentally fixed. And that's what I would call it, a mental blockness or whatever you want to call it.
A mental block.
You have no compassion for nobody.
No feelings, no compassion.
No compassion. It's a hatred feeling. And that hate builds up. It eats at you, just like cancer would eat at you.
Right.
And, until it explodes, it's there.
Yeah, now going back to, that interview, you can listen to the hatred and rage that Henry had for women. And how he mentions he had absolutely no compassion or care or concern for anyone. And that again reminds me of Bridge Guy. I really believe that Bridge Guy, whoever he is, really had no compassion, care, concern, or whatever, and was intent on killing Libby and Abby that day. So these people are out there, and they walk among us, which is very obvious here, so we need to stay on our toes. One of the 11 murders that Henry was convicted of was a teenage girl by the name of Becky Powell. Now, in the interview I did with Henry, Henry says he doesn't know what happened to her. She ran away and then somebody killed her. That's not true. He was convicted of killing Becky Powell. Okay, so he, in his 30s at the time, late 30s, ended up killing a young teenage girl because of this inner hate, anger, and volcanic rage. And it exploded on poor Becky, and she ended up dead. Again, there's another movie out there. It's called Portrait of a Serial Killer. And if you want to see a really old but real movie, if you can find it, it's about Henry Lee Lucas, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It was one of the first that was done years ago. Now, Henry was a necrophiliac as well. Okay, so when he killed women, he had sex with them after they were dead. Now, that I am not saying that anybody had any sexual contact with Libby or Abby. In fact, the district attorney or whoever in the affidavit said there was no sexual or no physical contact, so I'm assuming there was no sexual contact. But that does not mean that these guys do not get off on, just the power, the control, and the murder. I mean, because they do. There's no question about it. And I think it's the kind of guy we're looking for for Libby and Abby. I mean, there's no question about it. So anyway, again, the focus of this show today is the manipulation. And as Henry kept manipulating to get himself out of jail and manipulating to buy time, in different situations to stay out of state prison, I'm kind of feeling that with Kegan. I'm feeling, and I know a lot of you guys are too, because I've seen it, I've heard you talk about it, that you believe the manipulation is going on as well. You see, we have to kind of think that Kegan manipulated the police going down to the river and looking for whatever in the river, okay? Because they took him out of jail and they brought him down there in one day. Why would they do that if they didn't want him to give them some direction on where to look for whatever they're looking for, correct? Okay. So, do not put it beneath these guys to try to manipulate or use the cops in any way, shape, or form they can. I mean, whether you're a young girl in front of Kegan or you're the cops in front of Kegan, the manipulation could take place, okay? Because I believe he's the master manipulator, and how he catfished all those young girls, I really have to believe that. And that's why I'm kind of connecting him to Henry Lee here, because Henry Lee, made no bones about it to me, that he made fools out of law enforcement for many years and manipulated law enforcement for many years so he could stay out of a prison cell, he could stay in a nice hotel, he could have wonderful meals, he could have the cops to talk to. I mean, he had it all going for him for a number of years, and that's why we had 600 confessions. And when he got done, his antisocial personality kicked in, and he just said, guys, I made a fool out of you. I wasn't involved in any of those killings. And if you think I was, try and prove it. Well, after almost 600 murders, what are they going to do with him? March him around and try to investigate him and clear him and have all these trials and hearings? So a lot of manipulation with these guys. That's their middle name, manipulation. Right. Well, anyway, many thanks for tuning in today. I hope you got something out of this. I just felt I had to say something about how manipulative these guys are, and it is not beyond them or beneath them to manipulate the cops in any way, shape, or form for their advantage. Okay, and I don't think we've seen the last of Kegan's manipulation either. Well, anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Most importantly, stay safe out there. Be on your toes. These are dangerous times. God bless. Thank you.